but this will also be uploaded. Yeah, this will be uploaded later on today as well, too. All right, so thank you for coming to the class today. All right, today's class is going to go over anything and everything that is available for y'all to utilize. All right, specifically beyond the onboarding. Now, we are going to feature the onboarding as well, too, but I definitely want to go beyond that onboarding also, so we can kind of talk about all the extra items that are available for you. All right, so first thing first, this is the ScottLeroyMarketing.com site. All right, now when looking at this website, the main place to focus on is going to be in this agent resources section. All right, so under the agent resources section on here, everything will pop up for you to utilize as long as you are signed in. All right, so make sure that you're signed in. So right now I'm currently logged in. I'm not sure who I'm logged in as. It might be signed in as myself on here. All right, but once you sign in with your Market Center number, that'll give you access to all these agent resources to use right away. All right, so I know I said we're going to talk about everything else, but I always like to talk about the questionnaire section just to highlight some of this and see if you might want to tweak your onboarding a little bit as well, too. So first thing first on here, under this agent resources section, all right, we're going to have our questionnaire option. And this is for any agent that is joining Keller Williams. So even after you send that invite link, there's a plethora of items that you'll still need to do on here. All right, so a plethora of items for us to actually go through and adjust. So we have a bunch of different questionnaires to kind of help out. So we have one purely just for new agents on here that we'll talk about in a second. All right, we have one for admins that are joining the office, maybe admins that are in the office that have officially gotten licensed, they're now agents. We have one for cappers or R2 agents, mega agents that are coming through and coming from another brokerage so we can expedite them even quicker. We have one purely on command on here to make your life a little bit easier as well, too. And then also one just for existing agents. All right, just for existing agents on here. All right, now beyond that, we also have one for agents working in multiple market centers. We have one for agents that are hidden, so cappers that are coming over that aren't utilizing, or not utilizing, sorry, my apologies. Cappers that are coming over that, geez, maybe don't have, don't want to be shown yet. All right, don't want to be publicly known that they're getting updated on here. Also one for staff, much like yourself. One for agents returning to Keller Williams that have left and are now coming back. Teams that are joining Keller Williams, then of course agents that are internally transferring. So transferring from one KW office to your office on here. All right, so with that being said, we have a couple different questionnaires that are available for y'all. So the first one on here that I'm going to show, oh, and of course now I'm not signed in. So let me sign in real quick. All right, I'll sign in with Office 25 on here. Gotta love when that happens. All right, so when looking at this on here, all right, that questionnaire is now going to ask very minimal information. All right, so very minimal information is now accessible on here. So beyond kind of the basics, whenever they fill out that invite link and they're just setting up their My Profile section, we're going to ask for some basic information like what's their required, or not required, their preferred first and last name. That is required though. All right, what is their login and password that they have set up on here so we can sign in? And is that their preferred password, or was that just a quick one that was set up when they were doing the onboarding and then they want to change it later on? All right, what is their personal email for us to send back the setup complete email to? Do they have an NRDS number so we can link that directly over with their DocuSign or .loop forms? And then what would they like as their KW.com email and website so we can set that up and get everything adjusted? And then of course, do they have a headshot or logo on here? Now, this is some very simple information on here that we're asking just to kind of go through and make sure that everything is fully up and running on here to kind of adjust that even further. All right, and this is just asking bare minimum information. We're going to talk about this even more in a second. All right, just to kind of let you all know, hey, how can we get agents to best fill this out? Okay, now beyond that, we also happen to have, and I'm going to need to sign in again too. All right. I'm going to refresh this page in a second. Now that I'm signed in, let me refresh this home page so we don't run into that again. But we also have our existing agent questionnaire. Now, this existing agent questionnaire is exactly what it sounds like. It's for agents that are existing with the office. Basically, a great way to go through and say, all right, if we are now, signing up with the office on here, and I've been with the office for, geez, maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, what would that look like if I was starting again brand new today? So this is a great questionnaire for any agent to fill out just to get spot checked. All right, so in this case, what's your first and last name? So SAT rules apply on here. All right, they're going to get 500 points just for knowing their first and last name. All right, then on top of that, we also happen to have, what is your personal email address? What's your login and password? What's your cell phone number? And then if they have a headshot they want us to add inside, great. If not, no worries. We'll leave it as is and pull that up for them. All right, so that's all accessible to utilize on here. All right. Now, with that being said, perfect. Whenever this is completed and this is sent off, all right, two things are going to happen. All right, so first and foremost, our tier one team is going to go through and complete that setup. All right, so our tier one team is going to receive everything, and we're going to hop through and we're going to get everything up and running for them. And that's where you're going to receive that first version, that first draft version that is going to say, hey, this has now been completed. Now we're about to send this off, over to the agent. And then once that's completed, then our second draft version will go off. All right, I'm going to show you that draft in a second, but how exactly can we get the agents to fill this out? All right, so I'm going to put this over inside our chat section on here, over inside Zoom. So if you want to hop on here, you're definitely more than welcome to. All right, but on here, we have 3 different ways for the agents to actually fill out our questionnaire. All right, so way number 1 is where it's more of an independent method and the agent is doing everything. All right, so in this case, it's basically saying, hey, the agent's going to fill out the command onboarding system and then simultaneously fill out the SLM questionnaire. So in this option, the office would send a message to SLM with the agent CC'd on the email, alerting them who we are and how we can help. All right, so on here, we can see that canned response saying, welcome aboard. You're about to receive an email from no-reply@system.kdb.com with the subject line of KDB invitation. All right, so once you receive that email, please fill out the SLM questionnaire at the same time. And on here, filling out the SLM questionnaire is crucial to ensure you have all your KDB technology set up properly right away. So then on here, SLM, please welcome blank to Keller Williams as a blank agent. So this way you can actually go through and say, hey, please welcome Joe to Keller Williams as a new agent. We can get that up and running right away. Awesome. All right, so that is option number 1 on here. Now, option number 2 is where the agent might fill this out in person. So maybe you're hosting this in person, you're having the agents go through and complete everything. All right, that's fantastic. All right, so then if we're going through this, then they can fill out our questionnaire right then and there. So if you want to let them know, like, hey, during the onboarding, we're going to fill out the SLM questionnaire. This will help you to have a white glove experience setting up all of your KDB technology. All right. And then, of course, if you are going to do it like you may have done it before, where in this case, maybe you've gone through and said, hey, I want on here, for instance, I want to just go ahead and fill this out for the agents. I don't need to worry about anything. Then once they receive that invite link, you can ask them to send this back over to you right away. All right, there you go. All right. So that's all accessible for you right on here. I just want to give you a heads up on that. All right. So that's all available for you to use. So what this will actually look like at the end of the day, let me go ahead and pull this up for you as an example on here. Awesome. All right, so whenever this is actually received on here, all right, then this is what it's going to look like. So now it's going to say, hey, here's the Keller Cloud setup complete, Scott Leroy Market Center number 123. So this is going to have your Market Center on it with the number on it. All right, so that way you can actually have that available on here to utilize. And then it's also going to say, welcome to Keller Williams, where entrepreneurs thrive. And it'll say, welcome aboard, please click here to access all your new information. And then here's that MC number as well, too, that they can put inside. All right, so this is going to highlight your Market Center number. And of course, you'll be blind carbon copied on this as well. And once they put inside that Market Center number, so I'll put inside 123 to access this, and that's going to be a specific URL just for the agents to use at the end of the day. All right, so that way they can bookmark this if they want to, they can save it, whatever it may be. All right, but then on here, it's going to have all the information. So on here, how they can access our website. All right, geez, what is their login and password for all the KDB platforms? What is their Google Workspace login and password? And did we set that email up to forward anywhere? All right, on here as well, hey, what is that Command IDX website URL? And when we're setting up the site, we're still currently setting it up with the prior command site, if available. So that way we can add in all those extra pages like the mortgage calculator, currently the testimonial form and widget, download my app, a bunch of different extra pages that we were doing just for cappers before. And once the new site is available to add inside pages, then this will allow us to go back in and start to adjust that for all agents as well, too. All right. Then, of course, we have, here's what your agent profile URL is, your command email. So whenever any replies go back to that, that email address they might be sending out from command or the smart plan, this is where it's going to. Here's your consumer app link, Keller Home Loans, Keller Covered, how they can purchase Twilio on here as well, too. All right, and we're looking at adding inside WhatsApp very soon, since that's now an option to send out directly from command. And then, of course, what is your DocuSign login and password? What is the recovery answer we put on here so we can sync that over with their command account? All right, on top of that, geez. All right, what is your Homekeeper login and password so they can have some auto blogs and auto postings as well, too? All right, then, of course, on here, what is that Calendly account? So we are setting up Calendly, Blink, and Zoom on here. All right, so in this case, this is all accessible for agents to use now, just based on some items that the agents have been requesting for quite some time. All right, and then of course, below that, we're going to have helpful resources like that royalty-free media sites, answers.ktv.com, KTV Connect, Ignite, and then even our training, along with next steps of what agents would need to do. And then of course, on here, some support numbers and emails for them to keep on file. Now, once again, this URL is going to be specific for the agents. So if you want to save this yourself over on your, on Chrome, on Firefox, on Safari, and your bookmarks, please feel free. And then, of course, remember the password to access it will just be your Market Center number on here. All right. Now, some of those extra items we are setting up now is like that Calendly account. We are setting up a 30-minute general real estate consultation. So if agents want to learn more, or maybe not want to learn more, I apologize. If they want to share this with other people that want to learn more about how they can help out, they can share this out so people can start to actually book time with them. All right. Or on top of that, they can also share this with other agents. So they can share it with other vendors just to give them, hey, here's my time that's available right now based on my calendar. Also, a blank digital business card, so that way they can share this with anyone and automatically have a visually, available business card instead of just a QR code, make it a little bit more visually appealing at the end of the day. All right, so that's all accessible on here. And then, of course, on top of that, we also happen to have that Zoom account. Now, one other thing we are doing outside of setting those items up is whenever we're actually setting up the agents on here, all right, we're also setting them up with a 30-day new agent challenge. All right, so this is a challenge that we've created that is now available for agents to utilize all through their own command account. So we're going to set this up for them and add them as a contact and then put them on this. So this is going to give them 30 items that are going to happen one day at a time. All right, one day at a time on here to basically let them know how they can utilize everything possible. All right, so on here, it's just going to show, hey, day one, download your command mobile app and sign in. All right, day two on here, download your KTV consumer app and create an account. Day three, watch the latest command overview class at slmtraining.com so that way they can learn more about all the KTV tools. But on top of just them doing stuff and learning about things, it's also going to include items for them to do for us to complete on their behalf. So like on here, for instance, export contacts from their phone, email, etc., to send to SLM support. All right, or then in addition to that, send up to 5 CSV files of contacts to SLM for us to import for them. All right, so that's all accessible for them. Another big smart plan we're about to launch as well, too. Get away from this is actually, in this case, oh, wrong one. That was the other one that I was highlighting yesterday. Sorry, I was teaching a class. I had to share that. I just joined one, actually. So on this one, we're now actually going to highlight certain things, and I forgot to show this to y'all, so I apologize. I'll show that in a second right now, actually. Whenever agents are actually coming through, we're going to have this smart plan available saying, I've joined the world's largest real estate company. And then this will actually be a design where we're going to highlight a design in the middle, basically allowing them to alert their contacts that they've now joined Keller Williams directly. Now, one thing to note, we're also setting up all 10 of the KWRI Smart Plans. We're also now going through and adding all office logos to the designs, so that way they'll automatically have it in the brand assets. And then the other big thing about utilizing these smart plans is when agents go to their Command homepage, it's now going to get them to learn how to utilize Command a little bit more, how to utilize the smart plans, and then, of course, everything that we can provide as well, too. All right, so I definitely want to highlight that as much as possible. Now, one thing I forgot to highlight on here, and I apologize, we are now going to start very, very soon. If not, I believe some of these are actually coming out right now. Every time we set up an agent, all agents will now receive a QR code that's going to have their download my app on here. So it's going to have that link for their app. There's going to be a QR code on here highlighting their website. We're also going to have free email signatures that we will create for the agents and automatically put inside their Gmail account or their KW.com email when we're setting this up. All right, but then on top of that, we're also going to have an I just joined forces with, and then it'll say your KW logo on here. So it's not just going to be that KW logo like this, the general one, but it's actually going to be a more, local focused one, obviously. It's going to be your specific one. All right, so we'll have a couple different options on here. Yeah. All right. Now, with that being said, that's all coming out very, very soon for these extra items. All right, but that's all available just from the onboarding side. So I wanted to highlight this for you because at the end of the day, there's a lot of stuff that obviously is accessible on here that you can utilize. But then more importantly, there's some new stuff that we're pulling out as well, too, for y'all to have, even more access to. But then at the end of the day, the other big fun part is that, hey, this is also accessible for existing agents. So even if the agent's been there for, 1 year, 10 years, whatever it might be, there's something that we can go through and say, if you were starting again today, as of September 28th, 2023, what does that look like? All right, now under agent resources, we also happen to have our new KW agent website. So these are all the different kind of plans we have going on, all of our tips. It's also all of our all of our extra, classes that we've done recently. We just had one on the 26th that actually went over everything that's now available for agents to utilize. All right, now, in addition to that, we also have live webinars. So this URL that y'all are using on here, our live webinar URL, that slmwebinar.com one, is once they click on this, it's going to take them there. And those classes are available every Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, 11 a.m. Mountain Daylight, or sorry, Mountain Daylight. All right, 10 a.m. Pacific or Mountain Standard, so on and so forth. I had to think about that real quick. All right, but then we also happen to have a training section on here as well, too. So that way, if you want to see what classes are coming out for this live webinar, now we have our training calendar, challenges, and even our cheat sheets on here as well. Okay. All right, so on here for the training calendar. So first and foremost, what we're going to see on this is where they can actually access slmwebinar.com to go to that live training class. Go to slmtraining.com to access our recorded courses. And then every other Friday, we're actually going to have it now where the agents can choose and vote on what they actually want to utilize. So in this case, the class that they chose for this Friday is how to build your social media. For 1013, the agents are able to kind of vote between, do you want to learn more about task and reports, holiday marketing with command, or a dot loop overview? So this is based on what agents have been requesting from us and in, other courses or classes, what they've been requesting as well, too. All right. But beyond that, let me come back over here. All right, you can also see our Google Calendar on here of all the different classes that are happening for this month. So September's about to end. So obviously, once we get over to October on here are all the courses that are coming up. So if you want to add this from our Google Calendar onto your Google Calendar, you're definitely more than welcome to. Or if you want to download this as a PDF, print this off and hand it out to the agents, you can also do that as well, too. Just make sure you download your proper time zone on here. That's going to be a necessity. And so make sure you download that proper time zone. All right, so that way you can access this immediately. And if you do want to put these over inside a specific, like your own training calendar or anything of that sort, this will allow you to access that right away as well, too. All right, so here's a 1 to 2 sentence overview that'll help out tremendously. All right. So once we click on this, as you can see, here's the October EDT one. And as we can see on here, like, hey, here are our courses for Monday, for instance. All right. So every Monday, we're going to have our command overview class. This is meant to be that first class that agents will actually take to learn a little bit more about all the different KDB technology. So once they get that setup complete email, this will help them to see what the heck is everything and how do I access it. All right, but then on top of it, we're also going to have our Tuesday courses, for instance, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, that are more in-depth coverage. All right, so on the Tuesday class, and you'll see the actual date of the class on the right-hand side. I want to make sure that's known because a lot of people will say, hey, what is this on the right-hand side over here? Well, that's the actual date. So this is happening on Tuesday the 3rd, Wednesday the 4th, so on and so forth. All right, but our Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday classes are meant to be more in-depth coverage. So now that they have a 30,000-foot overview of where is everything located, well, now what do you want to learn about? All right, so in this case on here for our Tuesday class, if they then want to learn about the new websites, or on Wednesday, if they want to learn about smart plans, if they want to learn about designs, if they want to learn about opportunities, this is all accessible for them at the end of the day. All right, so this is going to be a more in-depth 1-hour overview of everything that is now possible to help out even further. All right, so that's all accessible on here. All right. So please feel free to download this and hand this out to agents. What a lot of offices will do, and since this is a leadership-specific class, I always like to highlight, everything that is available for offices to utilize on here. All right, but what a lot of offices will actually do on here is they'll go through and they will say, hey, let's add these over to our training calendar so people have, additional, in this case, classes they can access by going to slmwebinar.com. But then on top of that, maybe they also want to say, hey, we can't do these classes at this specific time on here, but instead we're going to do the replayed version because we record everything, or the recorded version at a different time instead. All right. And also some offices will say, hey, since you actually have a class that's purely over DocuSign, well, then what we're going to do is a DocuSign 201 class that's going to be more inspired about how to utilize all of our tools, like everything we want the agents to use as an agent in our office, or our board forms, or how it should be submitted for approval on the commission side to the MCA. All right, so there's definitely some options on here to basically go through and say, hey, how do we fit these classes into our schedule so then we're not duplicating efforts, but instead y'all can actually do more localized or more, expert versions of these courses, like next level courses. All right, now beyond all the live training classes, we also once again have our challenges. All right, so these challenges on here are all available. They're a printable version on here for agents to use. The command one is available as that smart plan that I highlighted earlier. And that's going to get added to every agent that goes through our onboarding, whether it's an existing agent, whether it's a new agent, whatever it might be. We're going to add that smart plan and add them to it so they can see those 30 items to do. And then, of course, we also happen to have other challenges as well, whether it's one about just getting started with our services, a jumpstart challenge, between 7 and 14 days on here, just going over the big items that agents would want to utilize. All right. And when you click on any of these challenges, it'll give you the printable version that you can access right away. Now, if an agent wants to have something that they can just print off and say, hey, here's everything that's available, fantastic. All right, then this is where they can go through, they can mark off every day when they complete it. So that way they can kind of get that, that accomplishment, that instant gratification right away. All right, and offices typically will ask like, hey, how do we know when an agent has completed this? Is there any type of, notification, or do we have a tracker on our end? And although there's not a tracker available, the last day on day 30 is just basically the agent saying to email us for their 30-day challenge completion certificate. And once that's completed, we will then CC you on that as well too. So we're then going to go through and we're going to CC the office on this. So that way you can actually see like, hey, they completed this. So now they should know a little bit more about command. They should know more about who we are, just to kind of help them out even further with everything. So our goal at the end of the day is definitely to make their life a little bit easier on here. All right. Now, beyond the challenges, we also have our cheat sheets. So if agents are coming through and they're saying, hey, I really want to learn more about all the different KDB technology and how to utilize it, but I don't know where to start, and I want to see it written out step by step. All right, then this is a great way where they can actually go through and access this. All right, so if they then want to learn more about these different items, then I can say, hey, let's click on the designs option on here. And this is going to talk about all those different items that are available for them. So when they're looking at designs, what exactly am I seeing on here? All right, so what is the design section? When I'm under designs, what are the different options I have? If I'm trying to create an email design, how do I do that? So this is basically going to be a walkthrough FAQ option to make their life a little bit easier. So think of it as like an instruction manual, basically, to help them out with everything possible on here. All right, that's all accessible to help out. All right. So that's all just through this training section under agent resources, where you can access our training calendars, our challenges, and our cheat sheets. Now, the other big item we also have is all of the different recorded training courses. So in this case on here, all the classes are alphabetically organized, but then chronologically organized, so you can see the most recent class first on here. So this is a great way to go through and say, all right, if we are, maybe we don't have a DocuSign class this month, but we can't do the DocuSign class on the date that SLM has coming up, then you can click on this DocuSign 101 and see the most recent class right away. All right, so we can go through and access that most recent class immediately. All right, so that's all accessible for you to then see, and then you can actually host it inside your training room, because once again, these classes are workshop style courses. So in this case, if you want to go through and maybe say, hey, we can't do it on, the Thursday they're going to do it, but we're going to do it on Tuesday of next week at 3 o'clock. Then you can click on this, play the most recent version, and then that way the agents can watch it in the training room, on the monitor, on the screen, TV, whatever it might be, and then be able to do it along with us as well too. All right, so that's all accessible on here. All right, but then on top of that, we also happen to have all of our tips. So if agents are coming in and maybe they're saying like, hey, I don't actually need a full 1 hour overview of everything. I just want a quick 1 to 5 minute video on it. All right, that's where our tips come into play. So instead of saying like, hey, let's learn all about the different campaigns on here, now we can actually say, all right, let's just learn how to do a Facebook ad. So instead of seeing the full 1 hour class, we can now say, all right, well, here's a 1 to 5 minute tip on how they can create that ad directly. All right. Now, one thing I do want to highlight, if you're on this class today, that means you got the email, which is good. All right, but if you didn't get the email directly from myself, all right, please put your email in the chat. I want to make sure that you're receiving these tech tips that are coming out every week. All right, because if you receive this email directly from me, you are all good to go. But if you did not, please put your email in the chat so I can make sure that's added to our list. Because inevitably for these tech tips on here, this is just going out to leadership for y'all to then distribute to agents however you want to. So if you then want to go through and say, hey, I need to go through and share these with them daily. All right, since there are 5 tips that are about 1 to 5 minute video or 1 to 5 minute videos a piece, then that's perfect. You can then share one daily, whether it's via email, whether it's on Facebook group, whatever it might be. Or if you want to just mass email them out, you can do that as well too. All right, but it's only going out to leadership. I want to make sure that's known. So on here, please feel free to let me know if you did not receive an email about this class so I can make sure you're added back in there right away. All right, now beyond all of our training that we have on here. So obviously I wanted to go over all the different training aspects because inevitably we're trying to make it where any type of training style is good to go. All right, so on here, for instance, if the agent is saying, I'm more of a visual learner, I want to ask questions, then our live webinar is perfect on here. All right, if they want to go through and they want to learn more on the training side, maybe they say, I just want to do it on my own. In this case, I just want to see what I need to do over the next 30 days. I can take care of it. I'm very self-sufficient. Then the challenges will be perfect. If they want to see instructions or step-by-step instructions of what they need to do, our cheat sheets will help out. If they're a visual person and they want to do it at their own pace, then we have our recorded training classes. Or if they just want a visual, quick option, then we have our tips available too. So we want to adhere to any type of training style to make sure everyone is taken care of. All right. Now, the one thing I love to highlight, and whenever we do any type of team meeting, I always love to highlight this one for agents. This is the only thing I'll ever actually click on at the end of the day. all right, is our agent support option on here. And the reason I always say this is the only thing I ever click on is because inevitably, whether the agent has been there for one day or, 10 plus years, there's something on here that they'll have access to that they'll probably say, oh, wow, I should definitely utilize that. All right, so at the bottom of every page is going to be our contact information. So if agents ever have any issues, questions, or concerns on any of the KDB technology, this is all accessible for them to utilize. All right, so with that being said, if they ever come through and say, I can't sign in, I'm having an issue with my website, I'm having an issue with my database, we can help out with that right away. All right, now beyond that, if they're coming through and maybe they're just saying like, hey, I just need something done for me, well, then that's where we also have all these free items that are accessible for them as well, too. All right, so we have our command services on here that are just purely items accessible under the command platform. So whether they just need that command account up and running, whether they need help starting a smart plan, maybe they want to use the monthly neighborhood nurture, they don't know where to begin, we can do all this for them. Whether they want to go through and say, hey, I need help importing my database, we can help with that immediately on here. All right. On top of that, we also happen to have, a plethora of services all around the Keller Cloud platform. We are setting up Canva accounts. So you might not have seen that. We haven't advertised it yet, but it is something that's going on right now. So I just want to give you a heads up on that. All right, but then in addition to that, we also happen to have a bunch of free items on here, whether it's updating their team information, if they're creating a team or joining a team, if they're leaving a team, removing that team information, maybe creating QR codes for them to use, updating their bio, email, headshot, phone number, social media info, if they might have new information for us to adjust. All right, so that's all accessible for the agents to take advantage of on here. And once again, this is just stuff for us to do that'll, kind of take this away from the agent. Our goal is to get them out there helping people buy and sell homes and not having to worry about any of this. All right, but then we even have services around their KDB.com email, whether it's just getting their Google account up and running, like their KDB.com email up and running, which is something that we will do over here. In this case, right from the get-go. All right, so right from the get-go on here, we're going to go ahead and set that up from their questionnaire. But if they then want us to go through and say like, hey, can we please, set up an alias, or can we forward that email now? We can do that immediately on here as well. All right, so all accessible for y'all to utilize in this case. All right. Now, beyond that, we also happen to have website services available as well, too. Now, these services are obviously getting a little bit of a facelift as the websites are changing on here. So I just want to give you all a heads up on that one. All right, so this is not going to stay the same forever. We're constantly going to be adjusting it. But right now, if agents need help adding testimonials, whether it was to the prior or the new website, we can help with that. In this case, if they want that download app page added in, if they need their domain forwarded over, if they need their listings featured, we can help out with this immediately. All right, so all these are free services that agents can utilize at any time. Now, when you click on any of these red rectangles, it's going to take you to a page to fill out your information. Now, if an agent has already filled this out, no worries. All right, if they've, not filled this out, sorry. If they've sent us an email about this, no worries at all. Then in this case, they can just go ahead. Oh, perfect. Thank you. All right, then they can go ahead and just have that completed for them. We're not going to reach back out to them and say, hey, please fill out this questionnaire on here for us to get this done. All right, so if they reach out to us directly with an email, we'll be able to work with that immediately. But if they do fill this out on here, then this will help us to see exactly what they might be looking for, so we can expedite this even quicker for them as well, too. All right, and each questionnaire on here, each little item is going to ask a fun little question at the end. So I would love to know from everyone that's on here what your favorite dinosaur is as well. So if you want to put inside the chat section what your favorite dinosaur is, please feel free. I will personally say I'm boring. Mine is a T-Rex. Right? But in this case, please let me know. I'd love to see that on here. And then, Julie, I'm getting that updated for you right now to make sure you guys are added in immediately. All right. Perfect. So on here, the other big item that we have beyond all of our support, we also happen to have leadership support. So beyond the agent support, we have leadership support on here. So with that being said, then we can go through, hey, there we go, Triceratops. Now we're talking. Oh, and a Velociraptor. You know what's funny? You guys are the first ones that have actually answered this question. Only one other person has answered it. And there were more people in that class. So I'm glad that we're getting the participation even higher on here. 3 people answering it. I love it. So thank you. I really appreciate that. All right. So on here, for the leadership support section, all right, if you want to go through and actually see our 30-day launch, this is a great thing to see for all offices, whether you're brand new with this or if you're just wanting to start fresh again and make sure you're utilizing all of our services. What can you do in the next 30 days? All right, on here too, this is all of our leadership support. So if you need help importing contacts into Command MC, if you need help adding those contacts to a Command MC Smart Plan, if you need help auditing the list of exceptions report to make sure all those listings are feeding over correctly, we can help with that right away. All right, we also have a resource website and then a market center website that I'll highlight in a second for y'all, along with offboarding help. So we'll talk about this soon too. But then if you do want to download any of our office marketing flyers, please feel free to. And then, of course, if you want to see everything I'm jabbering on about in written form, that's available in our SLM Overview section. And then, of course, a section to track your office that we are currently going through and adjusting right now as well to give you even more minute-by-minute information as to how everything is going and where everything is located, you know, what all we're doing, basically. I want to give you full transparency. All right, now this 30-day challenge on here for the launch portion, this is a great one. And as we can see on here, it's going to actually help you out with all the different challenge items, how you can complete everything. But this is a great way to say, all right, are we utilizing everything that SLM has to offer? And if the answer is we're only using the onboarding, then I'm going to go ahead and answer that question for you. The answer is no. So I would highly suggest that y'all take advantage of this 30-day challenge. Because as you can see, like day 1, send SLM your most up-to-date roster so we can actually send out an intro email. Day 2, print out our training flyers for the month to distribute to the agents. Day 3, add our training classes to your calendar. Day 4, send out our weekly tips email to introduce who we are. Day 5, schedule us for a team meeting so we can come in here. All right, so a lot of things for you all to do so that way you can really start to utilize everything possible. All right. Now, outside of that challenge, then we also have those extra sites on here. So we have a resource website and an MC website. So the resource website I like to think of as an internal site, so more so for agents in the office. And the MC website is more for external purposes, whether it's for recruiting or in this case, also just for, showing properties that are available. So for the resource website on here, one thing to note is in order to access this resource website, all right, unfortunately, the kdib.com email does not allow for Google Sites, but if you use a gmail.com email, or if you have a Google Workspace email, you can access this immediately. All right, but once you access this page, make sure you click the 3 dots to the top right and select Make a Copy. That is crucial. All right, click the 3 dots at the top right and select Make a Copy. That'll allow you to then have a copy of this so you can utilize that even further, and whatever changes you make are going to be yours. All right, but as you can see, it's just a place to basically put inside your own resources. So we put some template stuff on here just to help out if you want to adjust this. To highlight your leadership team, some people were coming through and playing around with this before, so we can see some people on here. All right, but then on top of it, a place to highlight your ALC, your technology, commands, support, training calendar, vendors, anything you want to highlight on here. Now, at the end of the day, all this is just a template, so you can tweak anything you want to, but it's a great place to have an internal resource site. Now, the Market Center site, or that MC website that I was highlighting on here. So the other one was the KW Resource website. This is the MC website. This is a WordPress website that's available with your virtual tech services. So everything I'm highlighting today is just available from that virtual tech services package that you'll have. All right, so nothing extra, nothing crazy or anything of that sort. All right, but the good part is this WordPress site is just completely accessible for you to use. And the fun part about this is that it's all free. All right, so normally you'd have to pay for hosting, you'd have to pay for the site, but you can actually access this and put your logo up here, change out this information to add in your leadership if you want to, add in additional pages. You can tweak this to your heart's desire on here. So one office I always like to highlight because they've done an amazing job getting this set up. all right, is Office 1074. So I'll put this over inside our chat section. So if you want to check this out, if you're looking for some inspiration, feel free to check out what they've done. But they added in, first and foremost, they customized the homepage, and then they added inside their leaderships. They have their, office leadership on here where you can actually reach out to them immediately. All right, they have on here their ALC. They have it set where it'll sync back with their agents in their office, going to their Command MC website that'll automatically pull over. So that way they're not having to, in this case, pay for an extra feed for those agents to feed over. Right? But then on top of that, they also have their property search set up where once again, this is a great way where, hey, here is that iframe option on here that's going from their Command MC site that is highlighting where they can actually access, that KWS 2.0. And if anyone comes on here and searches for a property or logs in, it's going to come back to the office directly. All right, so I always love to highlight this on here just to make life a little bit easier. All right, and if you do not have your Market Center site and you want access to it, please feel free to email Scott at scottleroymarketing.com. And in the subject, please put attention, Scott. Please launch our MC website. And that'll let me know that, hey, we need to get this started for y'all and send you over access to get to the back end, because everyone will have their own MC website. It'll be marketcentersites.com/MC and then your Market Center number. And we can give you admin access to get into that immediately. All right, now the final thing under that leadership section that I want to highlight is the offboarding option. Now, obviously, offboarding is something I never really, want to highlight, but at the end of the day, this is definitely a nice little way to go through and ensure a, positive experience if they're leaving to go to another brokerage, if they're getting out of real estate, whatever it may be at the end of the day. Now, this form on here can be filled out by the agents. It can be filled out by the Market Center staff. And if an agent is transferring to another Market Center, we would want to hold off on this completely. All right, so we want to avoid this as much as we can. All right, we do not want to highlight this on here. All right, and the reason we don't want to do that is because obviously if they're going to another Market Center, I want to make sure everything is set up and ready to go for them. All right, but with that being said, if you fill this out, we will need to receive this before the agents have left KW, and more importantly, before they're removed from Command MC. All right, so once you remove them from Command MC, no one will be able to access the account. So that's a big thing on there, because inevitably when they're filling this out, we're then going to sign in their account and we're going to shut down their website, app, profile, smart plans. We're going to export their contacts. We're going to shut off their paid subscriptions to the marketplace and just make their life a little bit easier on here. All right. So with that being said, you could do it this way, or what some offices will do, and this is a great example. I'm going to highlight this. I don't want to highlight this, but this office basically just said, hey, can you please offboard this agent? Here's their name, here's their username. And then that just means that the recovery password was updated to our email address. Yeah, and so then that way we can actually go through and, in this case, reset their password to adjust that immediately, sign in, get everything done for them, and give them a positive offboarding experience. So when they are officially gone from KW, then in this case, they're not actually going through and, having anything send out from their smart plans. Their website's not showing active. They're not, paying for a subscription to the marketplace they don't have access to anymore. So we want to make sure they have a positive experience. Great. So a question came in. Can you give an example of a Market Center website that was done this way? So the main site I always like to highlight is marketcentersites.com/MC1074. That is one of the best ones on there. Another one, if you want to see a quick option, and this is one that actually has a custom domain, is KW Greater 360 is a great one to use too. And then if you're looking at one that's just going to be more of an internal option, let me see. I think it's KW1 Chicago. Is it the number one? Let me see if it's KW1 Chicago. There it is. All right, this is another one that actually did it as well too, but they removed some of those other pages on here. I was going to say, I didn't think it was the number one, but they removed some of like the pages that were on there where it was highlighting like property searches or anything like that. And this is more of just like a, kind of a recruiting type site where you can also see all the different locations for them. And we have it set up where it's highlighting all the different Google Maps on here, or a place where you can actually see the leadership. You can learn more about B2B culture on here as well too. So we have a bunch of different options and even an entire page just on growth. So this is a custom page that was made just so they have access to growth, where it's actually going back over with these buttons to different Calendly links. All right. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, so a couple options on there. I always like to give examples. All right, but then the final thing I do want to highlight on here is under our templates section. Now, previously, you'll probably saw we had some templates that were available, and those were through Google Slides. We haven't highlighted this yet, but we now have some new templates that are available through Canva. So the reason you saw that option available under our agent support section to set up Canva is because now if agents want to use this, or maybe an admin on the team wants to use it, or the Market Center staff wants to use it, we can make a Canva account for y'all too. Or if you want to download these templates and upload them into designs, you can definitely do that as well to reverse engineer it. All right, so we have a couple options available. So we have our free templates on here. So as you can see, we have some leadership templates on the left, agent templates on the right. So you can download these right away. And of course, once we click on this, all right, it's then going to give us all the different ones that we have accessible. So maybe we want to go through and we want to see all the coming soon pieces, just listed, open house, under contract, whatever it might be. But once we click on this, it's going to give us all those different templates that we can use right away. All right. And of course, we can then download, basically, we can use this template. We can go through and download all of them, whatever you kind of prefer on here to have some fun. All right. We also have an a la carte section on here as well, too. All right. So in this a la carte option, if agents just want to go through and add inside, not add inside, but purchase an individual piece, like maybe holiday pieces, maybe they want to purchase just listed, open house, just closed, email signatures if they want more custom ones, postcards, social media graphics. We do have that accessible for agents to use as well too. All right, and then the other big thing that you're going to see launched very soon is our agent concierge option. So for offices that want us to actually do this for the agents and just have an easy button, all right, then this will be accessible where all agents can hop on here and basically say, hey, I want to get a just listed. I want to get a just sold, or, a social post, a flyer, a postcard created, daily content. We even have technically what we call a luxury collection, which is more of just utilizing gold, silver, gray, and black instead of the standard KDB red colors. All right, but more options where they can then go through and actually choose this as well too. All right, so then we have this little do it for me option where they can come through and say, hey, I want to choose this one. So I'm going to choose social post number 1. And now I can come down here and then we can actually click on this and it's going to have a short form for the agent to fill out where we can actually do everything. All right, then it's going to allow us to see that right away where we can do that. All right, so some fun stuff that's happening on here. So you're going to see an intro email about this concierge section. You're going to see an intro email about our new templates. All right, and then of course, all the a la carte on here too. Awesome. All right, so that is a little bit of an overview of all the different services that are available as staff and as agents with Scalaway Marketing from our virtual tech services. So just from our basic virtual tech services, not even any of our enhanced services on here, just what's available with the normal package. All right. So hopefully this is beneficial to get an overview of everything that's now accessible, all the fun stuff that you can now utilize. Hopefully this will help you out even further with everything possible. But if you ever need anything at all, please feel free to reach out to us. That is what we're here for. Thank you so much for coming today. I really appreciate you all taking time out of your day to really come over here and help out and just kind of interact on here. And thank you so much for the 3 people that actually put inside their favorite dinosaur on there. I really appreciate that more than you know. Thank you, Jordan. I appreciate that. Yeah, hopefully you learned a little bit more and can start to implement this in the office even further as well too. But like I was saying before, this has been recorded. It will be uploaded onto our YouTube channel a little bit later on. All right, so hopefully you have access, or not access to that. Hopefully you'll be able to see this a little bit later on as well too. If you want to rewatch it, please feel free. All right, awesome. And then I will see y'all very, very soon. Please feel free to come back to our class tomorrow. All right, have a fantastic day. All right, I'll see y'all soon. Have a great day today.